In this video, I'm going to teach you how to pull off 10 expert shortcuts in Mario Kart World. All 10 of these are shortcuts that, while essential, aren't universally taken online. And that means if you can master any of these shortcuts, you'll be able to differentiate yourself from your competition convincingly. That means I won't be breaking down how to pull off shortcuts like the Shy Guy Bazaar Rail shortcut or the Great Block Ruins Cloud Skip, as these are shortcuts that everyone knows. I also won't be including every shortcut that isn't universally taken online, as I haven't mastered every shortcut like that just yet, and I do plan to make a part 2 to this video. So just keep that in mind in case you'd otherwise think I missed a shortcut in this video. With that said, without further ado, let's start giving her, bud. Starting off this list, we got the fast sequence of this straightaway on Crown City. To pull this off, you want to hold back on the gliding section while aiming to land on the top of the left billboards. Once you land up top, you want to perform 3 tricks off the rail. Then, after the 3rd trick, perform a left air trick to then ride the wall. Once you charge up an orange mini turbo, trick off the wall, then trick off the ramp. Aim to bounce off the short tree and be sure to aim mostly in the middle, but a little to the right to get some rightward momentum after bouncing off the tree. Finally, build up a charge jump as you land and release the charge jump the moment you can, and aim to bounce off the finish line structure. Just like that, you pulled it off. This sequence doesn't save a ridiculous amount of time, but once you put some good practice into it, it's not that challenging, and if you mess any part of it up, you won't lose too much time. So it's always worth going for unless you're at risk of getting hit off the rail. Next up, we got the Desert Hills ending Shroomless shortcut. When first learning this shortcut, this shadow is a pretty good visual cue. However, do be mindful that depending on the time of day in the race, the shadow might not be there, so I'd also recommend practicing this in offline versus race. Regardless, shortly after passing the shadow, release a super mini turbo and immediately build up a charge jump. Aim just to the left of the following torch and release your charge jump the moment you can. From here, aim directly for the wall and you'll easily start riding the wall. After detaching from the wall, perform a right air trick before entering the water. Finally, perform a trick out of the water and onto the ramp, then trick off both this ramp and the ramp that follows, minimizing as much water time as possible. And there you have it. This shortcut doesn't save a crazy amount of time, but once you get a good feel for it, there isn't a lot of risk involved, and if you're opting to front run this track, this Shroomless shortcut is a perfect way to extend your lead just a little bit more. Following that, we got the Sky High Sundae fast wall ride. To pull this off, you want to start by tricking as late as possible off the left rail. I suggest holding up as you trick, because if you hold up and get what looks like a non-directional trick, you'll know you tricked as late as possible and are getting the full trick boost. From here, perform a right air trick as soon as you can, then immediately build up a charge jump upon landing. Perform a left charge jump the moment you can, then perform a right air trick the moment you're not set up to land back on the track. From here, perform a wall trick to solidify yourself on the wall, then another wall trick to trick over the gap, then a final wall trick to detach from the wall into an air trick to get a small boost as you land. Now, I do need to emphasize that this method to the ending wall ride is very challenging, very precise, and very punishing if you fail. You have to get everything perfectly, because if you mess up something after committing to the wall, you're falling off the track. Out of all the shortcuts I'm showcasing in this video, this one is definitely the least worth it because of the risk involved. But if you can master it, it's a really good way to save some great time over your competition and build a lead if you're front running. Next up, we got the Great Block Ruins ending Shroomless shortcut. And I'm not talking about the cloud skip. I'm talking about this. To pull this off, start by attacking this shortcut the same way you would when skipping the clouds, but after bouncing off the ring, you want to aim to land where the horizontal and vertical creases meet. Perform a left air trick as you get close to the wall, then trick off the wall the moment you get orange sparks. After bouncing off the second ring, aim for this crate and perform a left air trick before landing. Hold left in the off-road, and if you did it perfectly, you should hit the crate and get some leftward momentum as well. Hit the brakes if you need to, and just like that, you pulled it off. With that said, there's a common common misconception with this shortcut. Pulling it off is not that hard. Pulling it off perfectly is really hard. All you need to do is avoid the out of bounds area, and as long as you land next to the crate, it doesn't matter how you pull it off. It's still faster than going around the shortcut. Additionally, it is worth mentioning that this is a track that revolves heavily around having mushrooms to take the shortcuts. If you have more than one mushroom to spare, it's worthwhile to take this shortcut easily with a mushroom, but if you don't have a mushroom to spare, ideally on lap 3 in the front, this is a heavily underutilized shortcut that you can take advantage of to save some solid time over your competition. Following that, we got the gap jump on Whistlestop Summit. This shortcut is pretty simple. Charge up a super mini turbo as fast as you can, and after the turn, release that super mini turbo immediately into a charge jump. Aim to the right of the rock in the middle of the gap, and once you're at the edge of the road, perform a left charge jump and a left air trick. And just like that, you pulled it off. Obviously, this execution of the shortcut is far from perfect, but even when slamming into the wall, it's still faster than driving around the shortcut. Regardless, your best case scenario is taking this shortcut while having multiple mushrooms in hand, because once you make it across, you can burn a shroom to recover more quickly after slamming into the wall. This shortcut is definitely punishing if you fail it though, because most fails involve falling off the track. So if you plan on taking this shortcut online, make sure you've put enough practice into it. If you're consistent at it, this shortcut is a great way to give yourself an edge over your competition, especially if you have an extra mushroom to spare for that quick recovery. Kicking off the second half of shortcuts is the shroomless shortcut on Acorn Heights. Now you might think this is already pretty popular, and it is, but I'm not talking about this method to the shortcut. I'm talking about this. To pull this off, start by performing a left air trick once you drive off the vine. As you land, hard commit to holding left and don't trick off the leaf pad. When you land, build up a charge jump and hard commit to holding left again. Release a left charge jump the moment you can into a wall ride. Once you're in line to land on the pole, perform a wall trick and you should bounce off the pole. From here, hold left but don't perform any air tricks. Then ride the right wall of the shortcut until tricking at the very edge. And there you have it. I was a bit vague on the timing of when you release the first wall trick, but that's because this shortcut takes a bit of practice before it's worth going for online. It's pretty simple, but you need to get the reps in so you have the best feel of when to trick off the wall. But once you get this shortcut down, you should go for it every time you don't have a mushroom. It's much faster than the original shroomless shortcut, and thanks to the pole bounce, it's almost as fast as shrooming through the shortcut. So all around, while this is just a faster version of an already popular shroomless shortcut, it's definitely worth learning to get even more of an edge over your competition. Moving on, we got the fast shroomless shortcut on dry Bones Burnout. What you're watching is considered the safe method, which is fair, but if you want to save the most amount of time, try this instead. To pull this off, after landing from the rail trick, begin a right drift. Try to edge out a mini turbo as fast as possible, but most importantly, aim to drift in the middle of the road. Then release a mini turbo into a left drift and aim as far to the right of the road as reasonably possible. Release another mini turbo as soon as you can, then immediately start building up a charge jump. Hold left during this process and aim for the top left edge of the ramp. Then release a neutral charge jump as late as possible and get as many left air tricks as you can. Upon landing, you want to aim for the middle of the wall in front of you and trick off the off-road as close to perpendicular to the road as possible. From here, you should ride the wall and trick off the wall as late as possible into a left drift as you land. Just like that, you pulled it off. This shortcut may look intimidating, but once you get enough reps in, it's really not that challenging, and very few people are pulling this off online. It's obviously very punishing if you fail it, as more often than not, it'll result in you falling into the lava. But with enough practice, you'll find this shortcut to be very valuable when front running. Despite this track having a lot of off-road shortcuts at the end, this shortcut makes front running a very viable strategy here. Next up, we got the ending shroomless shortcut on Salty Speedway. And there are two methods to this shortcut. Both of them have experienced some fair traction online, but even then, I don't think they're universally taken advantage of. The first method is with a feather. And the second method is with a green shell. To pull off the feather cut, aim directly for the pole while being lined up with the left edge of the top crate. Once you get close to the pole, use your feather and you'll bounce off the pole. From here, aim to land on the rail. The moment you're on the straight section of the rail, perform a neutral trick. Finally, trick off the second rail and bounce off the pole into a trick off the upper sidewalk and a trick off the ending staircase. This is a very easy shortcut, but be sure to practice it quite a bit so you're fully confident in going for it online, as failing it can be very punishing. To pull off the green shell cut, aim for the right crate in the back and build up a charge jump. As you approach the sidewalk, release a forward charge jump, throw your green shell at the crate, and begin a right drift the moment you land. Pretty simple stuff. Again, make sure to practice this shortcut quite a bit so you're fully confident in going for it online, as messing up this shortcut could lose you a lot of time. Both of these shortcuts can easily be practiced in online versus race, since you can race against no CPUs and cycle for both a green shell and a feather. But once you're ready to pull them off online, this track will become a killer front running track for you. The second to last shortcut I'll be covering is the fast ending shortcut on Mario Bros. Circuit. To pull off this shortcut, begin by riding the right rail. The moment you're curving to the right, perform a right trick and hold right in the air. As you land, begin a charge jump and hard commit to holding left. Use your mushroom right before touching the off-road, aim for this little weed, and as you're about to touch the wall, perform a left charge jump. You should make it up top and break through the crates. To make it even faster, after landing up top, you can just barely trick off the red road. It's not the most consistent trick, but it definitely doesn't hurt to go for it. But yeah, that's the shortcut. Now you might think it's not worth learning this shortcut since you can just shroom and drift through the off-road to clear the turn, which is obviously much easier. But believe me when I say that this shortcut is much faster than the conventional off-road shortcut. You're going much tighter in taking this shortcut, and you can get at least one additional trick that you can't get if you take the regular off-road shortcut. This is currently the most underutilized shortcut in the game, and it saves a ridiculous amount of time. Finally, we have the Rainbow Road ending shroomless shortcut. This is definitely a more well-known shortcut, but considering how much time it saves, not that many players are taking this shortcut. To pull this off, you want to glide next to the left inner wall and perform a right air trick to land on the longest vertical line, but still above this horizontal line so you don't get counted out of bounds. From here, perform a wall trick as late as possible and perform 2 left air tricks. After the second air trick, start holding right. After bouncing off the pole, briefly hold right, then perform 3 left air tricks to safely land on the other side. And just like that, you pulled it off. This shortcut saves an absurd amount of time, not only over going around, but also over shrooming through the off-road shortcut next to this shortcut. It can definitely be a bit tedious learning this shortcut though, because Rainbow Road is such a long track, the shortcut is at the very end, and a lot of your reps are going to involve falling off. But I promise you, if you use my tutorial and get the reps in time trials, it will be worth your time. This shortcut is so good for placing well on this track, and for how well known this shortcut is, you'd think more players would take advantage of it. So if you put in the time to learn this shortcut, it'll be the best addition to your craft as a Mario Kart World player. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you'd leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments if I taught you about any of the shortcuts I showed off in this video. Like I said in the intro, I plan on making a part 2 to this video with even more expert shortcuts that are underutilized in this game, so be on the lookout for that. I also want to make a lot more tutorial videos for this game in general, similarly to what I did in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So in due time, you guys are going to be eating good. With that said, until next time, thank you all so much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and keep on giving her, bud.